The reason why I am so passionate about dyslexia is because of being a dyslexic person myself. I feel like I really understand that we have a responsibility to change the narrative. One of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Roberts, has made allegations against you. She says she met you in 2001. She says she dined with you, danced with you at nightclub in London. She went on to have sex with you in a house in Belgravia belonging to Jaron Maxwell, your friend. The royal world is reeling as Princess Beatrice takes a bold, irreversible step, cutting ties with everything she once knew. A stunning DNA revelation has shattered the very foundation of her identity, unveiling a hidden truth that challenges the legacy she was born into. As whispers turn to headlines and secrets unravel behind palace walls, one thing is clear: nothing will ever be the same. This is more than a scandal. It's a seismic shift in royal history. But what truly drove Princess Beatrice to walk away forever? Let's find out. The silent storm behind Princess Beatrix's exit. For over 3 decades, Princess Beatrice lived as a quiet royal. Always gracious, always composed, never the center of controversy, never the source of scandal. She wasn't destined to rule, but she was born into the duty of protecting the monarchy's image, and she did it flawlessly. Whether at public engagements or royal functions, Beatrice stood beside her father, Prince Andrew, a loyal daughter upholding a legacy carved by centuries of tradition. But behind palace walls, a quiet storm was brewing, one that would shake the very foundation of her world. In early 2024, whispers began to circulate about a secret DNA test, one that had reportedly been carried out years ago in private. The results, though never officially released, were explosive. Allegedly, they revealed that the man long believed to be her father, Prince Andrew, might not be her biological parent at all. No press conference, no palace statement, just silence. And in that silence, the rumors spread like wildfire, creeping through the aristocratic circles of London and the polished halls of Windsor like smoke through a locked door. At first, many dismissed the idea. After all, how could a family so closely watched by the world hide such a seismic secret for over 30 years? But then strange pieces began to fall into place. Unverified reports suggested the test had been quietly commissioned during a family dispute and the results locked away. Some claimed a private investigator had been digging into the story for years, while others whispered that a now defunct tabloid had once gotten wind of it, but never published for fear of legal retaliation. Suddenly, the public began to notice something different. Beatrice, once often seen beside her father, had vanished from his side. No more joint appearances, no more affectionate birthday posts, no more family acknowledgments. Her Instagram, once filled with warm royal moments, had been carefully scrubbed of all images featuring Prince Andrew. No anger, no public outrage, just a slow, deliberate erasure. And the questions started piling up. Who was her real father? Was it a nobleman with hidden ties or someone completely removed from royal blood? For a monarchy that defines itself by lineage, this wasn't just personal. It was political. And for Beatrice, it wasn't just about identity. It was about breaking free from a world built on image, secrecy, and inherited lies. But what if everything Princess Beatrice believed about her royal bloodline was a lie? Keep watching. This changes everything. Born into royalty, bound by secrets. Born on August 8, 1988, at London's Portland Hospital, Princess Beatrix of York entered the world as a cherished member of Britain's royal family. She was the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, and the 5th grandchild of Queen Elizabeth Roman II and Prince Philip. From her earliest moments, she was embraced by a world of elegance, legacy, and strict tradition. Her christening that December took place at the Chapel Royal in St. James's palace with godparents drawn from noble circles and family friends alike. Yet even then there was a hint of the unusual. Her name was withheld from the public for nearly 2 weeks after her birth, fueling quiet curiosity among royal watchers. 2 years later, in 1990, Beatrice became an older sister with the birth of Princess Eugenie. When she was just 7, her parents separated, a moment that could have shattered her world but didn't. The divorce, finalized in 1996, was surprisingly calm, and both parents remained active in her upbringing. The Queen set aside €15 million to ensure that Beatrice and Eugenie would have financial security, and the girls continued to travel, always accompanied by at least one parent. Education played a major role in Beatrix's development. She began at Upton House School in Windsor in 1991, then moved to Coworth Park School and eventually enrolled at St. George's School in Ascot. At the age of 7, she was diagnosed with dyslexia, a discovery that brought academic challenges, but also helped shape her into a resilient, empathetic young woman. She delayed her GCSE exams to better prepare, and in 2005 she chose to speak publicly about her diagnosis, hoping her story would support others facing similar hurdles. Beatrix's academic success included strong A-level results, and A in drama, B in history and film studies, and she was named head girl in her final year. In 2006, she turned 18 and celebrated with a grand masked ball at Windsor Castle. A striking portrait by Nikolai von Bismer marked her official coming of age. In 2008, she began studying history and the history of ideas at Goldsmiths University of London. Her time there shaped her views and laid the groundwork for a broader life beyond royalty. After graduating in 2011, she ventured into the working world, first at Selfridges as a sales assistant, then briefly with the Foreign Office and the Financial Times. Her ambition continued to grow, and in 2009 she made royal history with a cameo in The Young Victoria, the first member of the royal family to appear in a non-documentary film. Beatrix's journey then led her across the Atlantic. After resigning from a position at Sony Pictures following the 2014 hacking scandal, she made a bold move to New York City in 2015. By 2017, she had secured a full-time job and was dividing her time between New York and London. Under the name Beatrice York, she joined Affinity, a tech company, rising to vice president of partnerships and strategy. There she led efforts supporting women in leadership, championing a cause that resonated deeply with her values. But while Beatrice worked hard to build a life outside of palace walls, subtle changes were already unfolding. But what if Princess Beatrix's carefully built life abroad was never truly her choice? Stay tuned. This story runs deep, a royal romance shadowed by scandal. Beatrix's new life abroad was taking shape, a world apart from the royal spotlight she grew up in. But even as she found her voice in business and her footing in independence, the story of her personal life was unfolding just as dramatically. And it too would not escape scrutiny. In March 2019, Princess Beatrice appeared at a high-profile fundraising gala at the National Portrait Gallery in London. At her side was a man who would soon become central to her public and private life, Edoardo Mapelli Mossi. With his aristocratic Italian heritage and career in high-end property development, Edoardo was already familiar with elite circles. His father, Count Alessandro Alex Mapelli Mossi, had once represented Italy as an alpine skier at the Olympics. Though modern Italy no longer officially recognizes noble titles, Edoardo's family had been granted the title of Count in 1913 by King Victor Emmanuel Roman III, one that still holds weight in certain social spheres. By the time they made their first public appearance together, their relationship was no secret. It's believed they began dating in September 2018, their bond growing steadily stronger in private before making its debut in public. By May 2019, the couple was seen attending the wedding of Lady Gabriella Windsor, an appearance that signaled a turning point. In royal tradition, attending a family wedding together speaks volumes. It was clear this was no fleeting romance. That September, during a trip to Italy, Eduardo proposed. On September 26, 2019, their engagement was officially announced. Plans were made for a royal wedding at the Chapel Royal at St. James's Palace in May 2020, followed by a grand reception at Buckingham Palace. But just months later, the COVID-19 pandemic halted those plans. What was meant to be a grand affair was downsized into an intimate private ceremony held on July 17, 2020, at the Royal Chapel of All Saints in Windsor. There was another reason for the quiet tone. Beatrice's father, Prince Andrew, was facing immense public backlash due to his ties with Jeffrey Epstein. Though he walked his daughter down the aisle, he was notably absent from official photos. In a moment meant for joy, shadows loomed large. Beatrice wore a vintage Norman Hartnell gown once worn by the Queen, and the Queen Mary fringe tiara, the very one Her Majesty wore on her wedding day. With that, Beatrice stepped into a new chapter as a wife and a stepmother to son Christopher Wolfe. In September 2021, Beatrice gave birth to her first child, Sienna Elizabeth Mapelli Mazzi, at Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. Then, in January 2025, she welcomed her second daughter, Athena Elizabeth Rose. Both daughters, through their father, inherited noble Italian titles, a unique twist in a family where bloodlines have always dictated status. And just as their titles raised eyebrows, a murmur began to ripple through royal circles, hinting that something deeper, something more disturbing was waiting to be uncovered. But what if Beatrix's fairy tale marriage and noble legacy are hiding secrets the palace hoped would stay buried? Keep watching Whispers in the Bloodline. It began as a whisper, barely a rumor, a shadowy suggestion spoken in hushed voices behind closed doors. The kind of speculation that might vanish in the morning light. But this time it didn't. Instead, it spread fast. By early 2025, the British press had caught wind of something far more serious. A claim that a private DNA test had revealed a royal shock. One of Prince Andrew's daughters might not be his biological child, the source still unknown. Some said the story had leaked from a confidential document. Others believed an anonymous tip was sent to a notorious tabloid. Still more pointed fingers at a private investigator alleging he'd unearthed the truth years earlier, but no one could pin it down. That vagueness only made things worse. With no one to blame and nothing confirmed, the rumor was free to grow, feeding off silence. At its heart was a single staggering idea that the child in question had a biological father outside the royal family. Not a duke, not a prince, just a man with no ties to the crown. And that revelation, if true, would not just be a personal tragedy. It would strike at the heart of royal tradition, because in monarchies, titles, duties, and prestige flow through bloodlines. Break that chain, and you shake the very foundation. It wasn't long before attention turned to Princess Beatrice. Insiders began to notice a shift in her public appearances. Once closely tied to her father, their bond now looked strained, almost distant. Events they used to attend side by side now saw Beatrice arriving with only her husband Eduardo, or even alone. There were no warm glances between father and daughter, no smiles exchanged. Instead, an almost chilling silence filled the space where affection used to be. Online, the pattern continued. Beatrix's social media once reflected a close-knit family. Now any mention of her father had vanished. Her pages centered on her daughter Sienna, her younger child Athena, and her work supporting education and dyslexia awareness. And though she never gave an interview, never issued a statement, her actions spoke volumes. The absence was loud. Meanwhile, Princess Eugenie remained in the background, more silent than ever. Some royal watchers suggested she was supporting their father quietly. Others guessed she was simply staying away from the storm. Still, no word came from Buckingham Palace. Not a denial, not a confirmation, just that age-old royal silence. Never complain, never explain. But in today's world, silence isn't a strategy, it's fuel. But what if a hidden truth buried deep in royal bloodlines threatens everything we thought we knew? Stay tuned to find out. A royal home, a fragile future. To understand the present strain within the royal household, we must turn back to the origins of one of its most complicated relationships, Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson. Their connection didn't start in adulthood. It had much older roots. Both raised in aristocratic circles, they had known each other since they were children, frequently crossing paths at polo matches and royal gatherings. For years, they remained little more than acquaintances. But something changed in the summer of 1985 at the Royal Ascot. A spark ignited, and from that moment on, their relationship took a serious turn. Less than a year later, on July 23, 1986, they stood before the world and exchanged vows in a grand ceremony at Westminster Abbey. The occasion was more than just a wedding. It was a spectacle of royal grandeur. On that same day, Prince Andrew was granted a trio of titles by Queen Elizabeth Roman II, Duke of York, Earl of Inness, and Baron Killey, all deeply tied to British heritage. The early years of their marriage were filled with public smiles and private hopes. Their daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, became the heart of their world. But the fairy tale image began to crack. Prince Andrew's commitment to his naval career meant long stretches away from home. The constant media spotlight added pressure to an already strained marriage. Sarah, left to juggle royal life and motherhood, often felt isolated. By March 1992, the couple officially announced their separation. At first, the split appeared amicable. Yet later that year, the tabloids exploded with scandal when private photos of Sarah and her financial advisor John Bryan surfaced. Though Sarah insisted the relationship was platonic and Andrew stood by her, the damage was done. The headlines were merciless. The divorce was finalized on May 30, 1996. But what followed was not the usual royal arrangement. Andrew and Sarah defied expectations. They continued living together at Sunninghill Park, a spacious estate near Windsor built especially for them in 1990. The priority remained their daughters and maintaining a peaceful home life. Even after Andrew moved to the Royal Lodge in 2004, a residence steeped in royal history once belonging to the Queen Mother, Sarah stayed nearby. In 2008, after a fire at her home, she moved back into the Royal Lodge, and once again they shared a roof. It was an unusual arrangement, especially for a divorced couple, but theirs was a bond forged by loyalty and deep understanding. Yet this quiet arrangement soon faced a different threat, not personal but financial. Prince Andrew's unique lease on the Royal Lodge allowed him to live there for 75 years, provided he handled all expenses. That included millions in renovations and round-clock security, as the property lies outside Windsor Castle's fortified perimeter. When the Queen stopped his Euros 249,000 annual grant in 2013, his financial stability weakened. With no official royal duties and no public income, the burden of maintaining the Royal Lodge now falls entirely on him. and if he falters, the Crown estate could reclaim it. Every month brings fresh pressure. But what happens when a princess long in the shadows is suddenly drawn into the spotlight of a changing monarchy? A princess steps forward. As Prince Andrew's hold on the royal lodge hangs in the balance, the future of his daughter, Princess Beatrice, is taking on unexpected significance. For decades, Beatrice has stayed largely in the background of royal life, present but rarely prominent. She is the niece of King Charles Roman III, cousin to Prince William, and daughter of one of the most controversial members of the royal family. And yet, while scandals swirled and headlines screamed, she remained quietly dignified. That silence, however, may now be coming to an end. The royal family today is not what it was a decade ago. In 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle officially stepped back from royal duties and relocated to the United States. Then came the death of Queen Elizabeth Roman II in September 2022, ending the longest reign in British history. Her son, Charles, became king at age 73, stepping into a role shaped by tradition, scrutiny, and public expectation. But within months of his coronation in May 2023, the palace released a statement that stunned the nation. King Charles had been diagnosed with cancer. As the public digested this revelation, another followed. Princess Catherine, beloved wife of Prince William and future queen, was also undergoing cancer treatment. The two most visible faces of the monarchy were suddenly sidelined by serious health concerns. With Prince Harry no longer involved and Prince Andrew permanently removed from public duty due to his scandals, the number of active working royals dwindled to a precariously small few. Prince William, now taking on more responsibility than ever, began quietly reshaping the monarchy. His vision for the future is one of connection and relatability. A modern royal family that looks and feels more like the people it serves. But to make that vision a reality, he needs help. And it's becoming increasingly clear that he's turning to those who were once considered minor royals, his cousins. Enter Princess Beatrice. Though Beatrice has never held a full-time royal role, she has always remained close to the family. Educated at Goldsmiths College in London, she has pursued a business career and supported numerous charities. Her wedding to Edoardo Mapelli-Mosey in July 2020 was modest by royal standards held during the pandemic at Windsor in a private ceremony. It reflected the kind of low-profile modern royal she had quietly become. Yet her position in the royal lineage and her public grace have made her a compelling figure in this new era. In recent months, she's been seen more frequently at public events, royal garden parties, memorial services, and official celebrations. Alongside her sister, Princess Eugenie, cousin Zara Tindall, and other younger royals, Beatrice has become a visible symbol of continuity. She represents a generation of royals that straddles tradition and transformation. And in a time when the monarchy is under pressure to modernize or risk fading into irrelevance, that blend is invaluable. William's approach mirrors that of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth Roman II. During her reign, she often leaned on cousins like the Duke of Kent and Princess Alexandra to share the load. Now, with the monarchy under strain, facing internal challenges, a skeptical younger public, and national crises like inflation and political instability, William may need to do the same. Princess Beatrix's increasing presence suggests she is ready to answer that call. Though she has always respected the boundaries of her unofficial role, the moment may be right for her to step more fully into public service. She brings with her not only a royal pedigree, but also a grounded perspective shaped by life outside the palace. And as the monarchy stands at a crossroads, with its image, purpose, and leadership under the microscope, the question is no longer if Beatrice will take her place, but how soon. Because in this new chapter for the House of Windsor, The spotlight is shifting, and one of its quietest figures may soon become one of its most important. So what do you think truly lies behind Princess Beatrice's sudden rise in royal visibility? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more royal revelations.